Let's now move to some more news from the recently concluded World Economic Forum on Africa. CNBC Africa's Esther Budaga spoke to John Coumantaros, the Group Managing Director of Flour Mills, Nigeria, and discussed how businesses in Africa can not only deliver financial but social returns. Let's take a look.
Well, I think it's been a wonderful summit. FMN Flour Mills has been in Nigeria since 1960, began operations in 1962, so that's over 52 years. And we've shown tremendous growth during that period. And we're very happy to see today really how Nigeria is getting the recognition for all the positive economic measures it's taken to encourage business, to encourage growth and development, which means jobs.
One of the discussion points in this summit has been how businesses in Africa can deliver both market and social returns. What is your perspective on that?
Well, it's very interesting because we are principally a food business. We have consumer food businesses which we manufacture and process here. And to support the food businesses, we've gone backwards into agro-allied. So we have really 5 value chains. We have a 20,000 hectare farm to grow sugar. We have a 10,000 hectare farm to grow cassava, which we make into cassava flour, and which we're going to be making into cassava starch and glucose. We have rice plantations and rice mills, and we basically work along value chains. We also have edible oils, which are cooking oils, and margarine, which is coming from soybeans and soybean oil as well as palm oil. All manufactured, processed here, and backwardly integrated to the hinterland. And this is very important for Nigeria's economic growth because as the urban centers grow and need more food, the countryside has to provide that, and in providing it, it provides jobs for the countryside and more markets in general.
What is the appetite for Africa's growing consumer markets right now in terms of investments?
Well, government has been very good in developing policies for the long term because I think that's one of the most important things are clear, transparent policies which allow both government, private businesses, and the social sector to benefit in a clear, transparent, and win-win way for everybody, and on a level playing field. So I think the government's doing a very good job in developing those policies. And the next thing government can do is provide financing at rates which agribusiness can afford. Farming is difficult. It's long-term. It takes many years before your crops result, and the processing business depends on the farm. So we need low, long-term interest rates to really help that sector along. And of course, infrastructure is another big issue. Roads, railroads, and connectivity.
What is your vision of an Africa that prioritizes, especially in the areas of innovation, 10, 20 years from now? What are you hoping to see?
Well, I think in the agricultural sector, there's a lot of innovation about being able to bring, technology to the farm, using the cell phones, using the connectivity, where you can actually take soil tests on the farmland, send them back wirelessly, and be able to assess what the soil needs, and transmit as well programs and connect really to technological centers that are going to provide learning and assessments and what the soil and land needs.
Now, for Flour Mills Nigeria, what are you doing to stay ahead of the competition in terms of how you're coping in the environment and how you're strengthening your bottom line?
We're working very, very hard. We're working day and night. There are tremendous growth opportunities, tremendous challenges, but we work very, very hard, and we like to be at the forefront of whatever we do.
So what are your biggest challenges working in the Nigerian environment, apart from the usual infrastructure challenges? Are there any others that are unique to your industry?
Well, in many cases, bringing processing to the hinterland means you have to have a source of power. Where do you get your power? So that's a major challenge is securing that you have the power that you need. The next, of course, is the infrastructure. How do you get roads, and how do you get goods to your processing plant, and how do you get them from your processing plant to market? These are big challenges.
But are you confident as the government works towards solving these problems, upgrading infrastructure, are you confident that going forward that this is surmountable and that we could see an industry that's perhaps not completely devoid of all of that, but one that is thriving and, of course, feeding into that African growth story?
Well, we've been here for 52 years, and I think this administration has been very, the last 10 to 12 years have been very positive towards developing economic growth in the private sector, having the private sector grow, with the enablement of government.
Okay, now let's finally, the African growth trajectory that we're on right now, 10, 20 years from now, what is your vision as African government to move to achieve inclusive growth, creating jobs, which is the theme for this year's event? So what are you hoping to see, the Africa you're hoping to see 20, 30 years from now?
I would hope to see a far more integrated continent where, skills are obtained intercontinent and goods are traded within the continent, which again is infrastructure in all its senses, the hard and soft infrastructure that needs to be put into place. The only bottleneck we in Nigeria or in Africa in general is the infrastructure. We will grow as fast as our infrastructure allows us to.